Rest in peace, OJ. OJ dead like a motherfucker. Died of cancer today, April 11th. And he's died of cancer, no longer with us. And white folks around the globe are celebrating. Black people are like, hey, we laughing because we know how much OJ pissed them off. What's up, chat room? Thank you for joining the live. We here. We yeah, we here. So we're gonna be here talking about OJ. We're gonna be here talking about OJ. We're gonna talk about the case a little bit. How yes, I said he didn't do it, and I'm gonna give you my point of view on why he didn't do it. And then we're gonna talk about the fallout. I'm gonna talk about, some time going back to I remember the OJ case was going on at a critical time in my life between eighth and ninth grade. During that time in my life, and that's when the time in life when you're starting to see the world, see what's going on. You don't know what you're looking at. You're starting to see what it is. So I started to come into my own as far as observations for the world and what's going on in the world. And OJ happened in my city, just at the LA riots. And there's an interconnectedness between the LA riots and OJ. It's something that you'd only understand if you were born and raised in LA. If you import here later on, you won't get it. Or if you ain't from here, you definitely won't get it. So we're gonna talk about all that stuff. So what I'm gonna do right now is, what we're gonna do right now is play some music, and we about to get right back to you because what I have to do is I have to share this. I have to share this to my YouTube and to my Instagram. So go to your Instagram right now, go to your Twitter, retweet, share it, all that good stuff. We will be back in about 1 minute. We back. Salute to my man Duncan Penderhughes on the beats. Beats by Duncan. Y'all know who Duncan is. For those the day one Craig Facts followers, Duncan on the beat. Appreciate you, dog. What's up, Kendall? What's up, everybody in the chat room? So, what's up, Reggie? Reginald? So, we're about to have a 360-degree conversation about OJ. Let's set the ground rules for today's conversation. The ground rules is I don't necessarily care how you feel about OJ. That's irrelevant to this conversation. If you think he did it, cool. I'm not gonna try to convince you otherwise. We're 30 years after the incident. People are going to think what they think. And so I'm going to present to you why I think he didn't do it. And if you choose to still think he did it, don't give a fuck. Not gonna argue with you. Uh, OJ was a lot of things to a lot of people. You know, he was a celebrity. For people older than me, he was a football player. I wasn't around to see him play football. I wasn't around for that. When I came around, OJ was the announcer. He was the announcer, and he was the sideline reporter when I came around, and he was Officer Nordberg in Police Academy. So my introduction to OJ is being the sideline reporter. He was a guy, I think it was budget rental car service, where he used to run through the airport and shit. Remember when OJ used to run through the airport? I'm like, run, OJ. And he run through the airport and everything. And he was America's Negro. Going back to my childhood, OJ Simpson was America's favorite Negro. And I liked him as Officer Nordberg on Police Academy, where he basically played the silly Negro. And he did such a good job playing a silly Negro. OJ was somebody who spent most of his life tap dancing. You know what I mean? He was a straight up for people who don't like him because he was a rotten tap dancing coon. Yeah, I agree. He was. OJ was a lot of things. Even when he got out of jail, I used to love following his Twitter. But he would still say things like, this nigga OJ just, so I get it. Um, OJ is a lot of things to a lot of people. And so I do want to say that, he was a OJ was a born star, you know? He was a star. And he epitomized a star's energy. And he loved the camera loved him. He loved the spotlight loved him. You know what I mean? His birthday was July 9th, 1947. Oh, shit. OJ was a six of diamonds, just like Stevie Wonder, just like Smokey Robinson. He was a six of diamonds. Okay, okay. So OJ was a lot of things, and so people have their. He's been in the spotlight for well over what about 50 years now, going back to his football career. So people have long-standing feelings about him. And then you have the younger generation, the generation under 40, the generation that wasn't paying close attention to OJ when the trial happened, or they weren't born when the before the or they were born after the trial. And a lot of y'all heard was the propaganda. OJ has since become an industry in and of itself, where every 5 years there's a new OJ docu series, documentary, TV show, and they make billions and billions of dollars over the whole OJ did he do it scenario. For black men, OJ signifies the fact that even when the court of law proves us innocent, we're never innocent. And as a black man, I got to see that very, very young. Um, and I got to see this. I was 13 when OJ happened, when the whole situation happened. And the chase was actually like on my 13th birthday. That was the day of the chase. And I remember that. I remember going to church that night. We used to go. My mom had us at Wednesday night Bible study every week, and I remember when it initially happened. OJ was found. Like people were saying, there's no way he could have did it because of the timeline. OJ was on a plane to Chicago when it happened, and the original sentiment, the first week or two after the murder, was there's no way OJ could have done it. That was the initial sentiment amongst the people before the propaganda started, before the planting of the evidence started to seep out. And then we would hear things like bloody sock. There were drops of blood. There was a bloody sock at the edge of OJ's bed. But remember what happened? The initial officer says there was nothing in the room. Then when they came back, there was a bloody sock. They never explained the fact that initially they did explain that, there was, let me show you right here, the whole bloody sock thing. Because I'm going to be talking and going through this at the same time. No, this is Adam Park's testimony. We're going to be kind of going through talking about this, talking about the whole situation, and then going back and forth. This was an article. So I like to go to articles of the time. This article was from June 24th, July 24th, 1995. This was before the verdict. This was during the trial. They're talking about the blood evidence, and they're basically saying, and you can go this is in the Washington Post archives. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. This article I'm on right now, I just put it in the chat, and you can look it up yourself in the Washington Post. This is while the trial was going on, and it's right here. I want you to pay attention to this right here. FBI blood tests concluded that substance called EDTA was present on a bloody sock found in OJ's bedroom, on a blood smear on Nicole Brown Simpson's gate after she and Ronald L. Goldman were slain. EDTA stands for ethylene diamine long ass goddamn name acid. Is used as an bullshit ass name to preserve specimens in test tubes. Basically, what they're saying is, in court, they're talking about the blood evidence that was found on the sock, the so-called DNA evidence, because a lot of you niggas, all y'all do, y'all watch these whole TV shows, and they say, well, there was blood. OJ's blood was found. OJ's blood was found. That's true. But you got to understand that they lie to you with half-truths. Half-truths are how they lie to you. They can't come to you and say, hey, it was nothing. They say, no, there was blood. But they don't tell you the other side of the truth. The blood also had goddamn the detergent preservatives in it. And they use the preservatives when something enters a test tube. So a bloody sock that wasn't there at initial investigation got found later after initial investigation, and it's concluded by the FBI hold on, let's do this right. We ain't doing this right. Let's go ahead and play. Let's do this right. I'm gonna need you motherfuckers to come to Jesus and listen to this goddamn truth. Shit. You gotta tell the truth, goddammit. Shame the devil. Tell the truth. Not the propaganda on the shit later that when they tell you the half truth. Let's go back to the goddamn case. So a lot of this stuff, I was able to find this in one Google search because I have a fucking computer ass memory. I remember this shit when it was happening. I was very in tune with OJ and the whole case. My mom, on the way home from school, we used to, every day I would see in real time, we would listen to Larry Elder. That's how I discovered Larry Elder. Larry Elder was always talking. Larry Elder got popular off of OJ and him focusing in on that white audience. So those of you who want to know about the Larry Elder, this is how true to it I am with it. You ain't gonna get this perspective from anybody else on the internet. The same Larry Elder who tried and failed to run for president in 2020. No, that was Ben Carson. Ben Carson ran too, but Larry Elder, the same one that tried and failed in 2020, that Larry Elder. He started on KABC here in LA on La Cienega. Now it's a tall ass apartment building there now. But it used to be right there on La Cienega. And you LA niggas know who the fuck I'm talking about, right by the 10 freeway. Because when the earthquake collapsed in 94, all this, LA was a lot going on in LA at this time. This is 1994. We just had the riots 2 years prior in 92. Ice Cube told you niggas I was coming on death certificate. The LAPD is under investigation from, because Bush, one of the last things he did before he got out of office was put the LAPD under federal investigation for all they bullshit. This is all going on in LA. That January, we had, on Martin Luther King Day, we had an earthquake. And the 10 freeway buckled right there in La Cienega and Fairfax. And that was right there near the station where Larry Elder got famous by talking about OJ did it. He would just talk all day about how OJ did it and the evidence. So personally, I've been getting both sides of the evidence from day one. On one hand, watching the news, because man, let's go back to 94 when this shit happened. Cable TV wasn't shit. The only thing on in the middle of the day was fucking Suzanne Summers' Thighmaster videos. There wasn't all of these constant sports shows you niggas are used to right now. If you was at home from school in 94 and you had cable, you had to wait until like 5 o'clock for Video Soul to come on, or 4 o'clock for a Bulls game to come on WGN. Between the morning time and 4 o'clock, it wasn't shit on TV back then. Hopefully you can catch a good movie on HBO. Hopefully you can catch Harlem Nights or some shit on HBO in the middle of the day if you're home. So when this shit was going on the news before the trial, you just stayed home watching a Hard Copy, Current Affair, all these shows talking about OJ. So when the trial happened and we get to the summer of 95, again, it ain't shit on TV. Video Soul don't come on till 5 o'clock. You dig what I'm saying? It's nothing to do at 12. Like if you home in the daytime, like shit. You know, if you home in the daytime, usually we be on our bikes and I be riding my bike, right? All through that area. We be watching the fucking OJ trial. That shit was captivating. Johnny Cochran used to come in these nice suits. You know what I mean? And shouts out to Deion Lattimore, a stylist here in LA. He hooked me up. He was Johnny Cochran's stylist. He hooked me up with a couple nice button-down shirts that y'all gonna see in my next show. But he told me a story about Johnny Cochran. He said he was dressing Johnny for that trial, and he said that Johnny told him, dress me so well they don't hear a word that I say. Because Johnny Cochran understood, you know, how appearance worked. And so I remember watching that black man, Johnny Cochran, at home in the summertime. I'd be kicking it with my grandmother. And my grandmother would be playing her crossword puzzles. And I'd be sitting right next to my grandmother playing her crossword puzzles. And we'd be watching the OJ trial. And you see this shit happen. You hear it. You hear it in real time. And then when you watch Hard Copy, when you watch A Current Affair, for those of you young niggas, that's TMZ today, or the current of the news. Back then, the news talked about the news, and all the gossip was on these shows like A A Current Affair and Hard Copy and those shows. Those were like what you would call TMZ today. And I would hear them kind of twist what I had just heard in the trial. And I'm 14 and I'm like, that ain't right. That ain't what Johnny Cochran said. They totally, I didn't know what propaganda was at that time. I'm a teenager. But I'm seeing, okay, I'm watching the trial with my grandmama, and they saying this bloody sock had preservatives on it. But when I watched the news that night, they not mentioning the part of the preservatives on the bloody sock. And that made me like, that's weird. They spent all day talking about this bloody sock and DNA evidence on it. But when I watch the news in hard copy, they not mentioning that part. See, if you were at work all day and didn't see the trial, you would just only hear what these TV shows said. But I was there summer 1995. There wasn't shit else on TV. There was no internet to go to. None of that. So I remember seeing that shit and then listening to Larry Elder and listening to this punk motherfucker twist everything. And the white folks calling, OJ did it. He had to do it. He loved his white woman and he was just a murderer. OJ's a scumbag. And I would listen to all these white folks calling and then crying and crying and crying. And wee. And all I'm hearing is, this is the worst travesty of the century. Now, mind you, I'm from South Central LA. I had just seen Latasha Harlins get murdered, and the Korean woman store owner that murdered her got 6 months probation. Latasha Harlins is what opened my eyes. I was a kid when this happened. I was a kid. And when she got murdered, and that was all on the news, and this young black woman, who actually at the time she got murdered, she went to my high school. I was in elementary, but the school I eventually ended up going to, Westchester High. I saw this shit. And I saw this black woman get murdered. And the Asian store owner who murdered her got 6 months probation. And I'm thinking, see, if you're from another city, I'm not gonna talk. You got your own perspective. I'm not gonna argue with you over your perspective. But this was happening in my city that I was growing up in. And I was like, yo, they're calling OJ the worst miscarriage of justice? And what? We saw this on camera. Her murder was on camera, y'all. That's why them talking about some police carrying cameras, that don't mean shit to it. Like, nigga, we saw this shit on camera. Y'all give a fuck. Then, after Latasha Harlins, was Rodney King. Rodney King got his ass whooped. Live on camera. And the only thing we got in return for Rodney King getting his ass whooped live on camera was, can we all just get along? Rest in peace, Rodney King, no disrespect. So we see Black America, we see Rodney King get his ass whooped. And again, the police get off. and they want to tell you niggas just now coming up that OJ is a trial of the century, worst miscarriage of justice. It shows they want to tell you right now, watch, as OJ, as all the white pundits talk, they're going to talk to you as if OJ Simpson was the worst miscarriage of justice. When this case right here brought in federal indictments on the LAPD. Federal indictments that will ultimately lead to the Rampart scandal. And in the Rampart scandal, they named Rafael Perez and David Mack. They put two black people out there out front. But the Rampart scandal went way deeper than them. All of the white bosses got off. But the Rampart scandal unearthed a lot of rampant miscarriage of justice in the Los Angeles Police Department. And a lot of the officers who were indicted and mentioned in this Rampart scandal, a lot of them were also on the scene during OJ. We got to get a period. Let's talk about the moment in time. I'm not going to let you guys allow the media to narrowly frame these conversations, because they take these narrow frameworks and they give you a half truth, and that's how they get you to believe that you thought of it that you yourself, that OJ's guilty and all this other stuff. You got to take a picture of the whole picture of what's going on. Because someone would ask, why would there be this massive cover up if the FBI concluded that there was blood droplets in the blood? And then we got the bloody glove. Let's go a little bit further. On top of the bloody glove, I remember watching this part live and in person when I was watching the news. The telephone records. This is something that OJ tried to re-sue for. This was during the civil trial. He was trying to sue to get those telephone records. The reason why the telephone records are significant is because it was confirmed that by Nicole Brown Simpson's parents that they called her when they got home from the Mezzaluna restaurant from Dana Point. To Dana Point from Brentwood. And when that call was made, OJ was already in the limo. See, this is before Uber, y'all. OJ used to travel around like Mr. Drummond. Oh, shit, I appreciate the Cash App, Cedric. Appreciate the Cash App, Sid. But this was the testimony. And I'm going to put this copy, paste, in the chat so you can look it up yourself. What time were you there to arrive at the defendant's house in Brentwood? 10:35. And they're talking about the OJ's house. He keeps saying that he's there at 10:45, 10:40. And he's talking about waiting on OJ. And he's talking about being there and the calls. You get the whole limo driver testimony that was going on. And then the reason why this is significant, the timeline, is this part right here. If those phone records are unsealed, there's not going to be enough time from when they got home from that restaurant and the murder for Nicole's parents to give her a call. They didn't call on us. All those cell phones were around back then, the big ass brick phones. It's confirmed that they called from a landline, and that landline was GTE, which is now Verizon. This is the distance from Nicole Brown Simpson's house to Dana Point. It's traffic now, but with no traffic, you're looking at about an hour and 15 minutes with no traffic. But this is 72 miles was the distance they had to drive. So why would everybody have this massive cover up? Why would everyone conspire to come in against OJ and cover up the bloody sock, the bloody glove? Not to mention the fact that Ron Goldman was a karate expert and he showed defensive wounds, meaning he put up a fight, meaning whoever was slicing and dicing him had to get something back. And OJ didn't have anything on him. The only cut OJ had was a cut on his finger that was consistent with a paring knife with cutting fruit, because he cut his finger earlier that morning cutting some fruit. So the one cut he had, and they actually matched the cutting knife to the cut on OJ's finger, but they never found the knife that cut them up. They don't tell you that part. They actually have a match of the knife that cut his finger. But let me show you this right here. This is as recently as 2016. Because these white folks cannot get away from OJ. 2016. Talking about the construction worker that found the small bladed knife on OJ's house. And it's talking about all the knives that have been turned in by the LAPD. All of the weapons were ruled out as a murder weapon. Every single knife found as far as a murder weapon goes has been ruled out. But they'll tell you on these whole ass TV shows where they try to frame him as guilty that OJ had cuts on his hands. But they won't tell you that the cut that made the cut on his knife on his hand was actually found, and it was a paring knife in his house that he still had. While the murder, and that was concluded that that was the knife that murdered these two people. So it's all of these things that I remember seeing the stuff when it happened. But then I remember seeing the twist later on. That's why when I Googled this shit, I was able to Google this shit in one search. Because I knew a fucking question to ask Google, because I remember it shit happening live when it happened. I know our propaganda work. Tell a lie loud enough and long enough and become the truth. So when it comes down to it, there was just too much. That was what the jury saw. The jury wasn't watching hard copy. They were actually sequestered. They weren't allowed to mingle amongst the people. There was no, although the internet was around, the internet at that time didn't have stories popping up by the minute. So they weren't getting the propaganda. They only heard this evidence, which led them to easily conclude that OJ was not guilty. You're right. Ron Goldman had bruises on his knuckles from punching his attacker. Yep. Yep. And OJ had no bruises or wounds on his body outside of that cut that he had. So, physical evidence. And the way they was all sliced and diced up, you need a professional to get that done. Now, if they saying that they got shot and there was a smoking gun around OJ, then that'd be something different. But how you gonna slice and dice two people with cunning accuracy? How you gonna do that? And you ain't ever done no shit like this before. And they always talk about OJ. But they let this motherfucker, they gonna talk about OJ all day, but they let this motherfucker die in peace. Look at the picture they use. A funny picture of him. Robert Blake. This trial happened in LA too, a few years later. When this dude basically went up, his wife got shot. The motherfucker had a gun on him that he let. He said, Robert Blake in this trial said that he left the fucking gun on the seat in the restaurant and went back to get his gun. And when he went back to get his gun, his wife was murdered at the car. And he got off. And when he got off, you know the rest of those white folks that point at OJ, this is why I don't fuck with you people that go at OJ. Because y'all know what you same motherfuckers did with Robert Blake? Y'all don't play fair, so why the fuck should I? Y'all never talk about Robert Blake. The motherfucker had the goddamn gun. Oh, I left the gun on the seat. And she got murdered when I was inside. Oh my God. And y'all be like, yep, I believe it. The same people that are called OJ a murderer will say they believe Robert Blake or just shut up and not say nothing. You had Robert Blake. You also had Phil Spector, the music producer, that did horrible things to our great sister Darlene Love and her career. Darlene Love created one of the greatest Christmas songs of all time. And Phil Spector didn't give her the credit because he put the name under somebody else and kept all the money. If y'all don't know who Darlene Love is, that's not who he murdered. Darlene Love is actually still alive. But she's one of the greatest background singers of all time. And I'm trying to track her down for an interview. But she's one of the greatest background singers of all time. And she recorded a lot of music for Phil Spector. And Phil Spector kept all of the money. Kept all the money. And so he was a degenerate. Phil Spector was somebody who shown throughout his career that he was an evil, thieving degenerate. And when he died a couple years ago, he also got to die and them not bring up the murder trial more than they brought up his music. Murdered a woman in the goddamn house. They don't bring him up. They go to OJ. So when I was a young man coming up, if you want to know why I'm so militant, it's because I observed these things coming up. And I'm a man of justice. I'm about what's right. And it's not right when I gotta see, as a young boy growing up, Natasha Harding's getting murdered. I gotta see Rodney King get beat on camera. And the people that do these things get away. See my neighborhood burned down. Rightfully so. We had to burn that motherfucker up. Because before the riots, my mom was at Maxine Waters' office. Councilman Nate Holden at his office. Herb Wesson. The local people. This is Maxine Waters before she got into federal Congress. This is when she was local Maxine Waters. Yvonne Brathwaite Burke, Kenneth Hahn. I know these names because they were around when I was 10. I knew those names at 10 because my mom was always at the city council meetings. My mom was tired of having to go way to Culver City to Big Five every time I needed some sporting goods. Why can't we have a big five on Crenshaw? My cousin Michael, eyeglass. He was an eye doctor. And as an eye doctor, my cousin Michael used to, he wanted to open up an eye shop here in LA. All this ties into OJ and my perspective on OJ and what I'm seeing at the time. All this ties into OJ. Well, my cousin Michael, who I used to adore and love so much, he was always wanted to open up an eye shop here in LA, in South Central LA. But he never could because LA at the time only wanted liquor stores, fast food restaurants, and Korean owned businesses in the hood. You needed an act of God as a black business owner to open up anything other than a rib shack. They would let us open up funeral homes, rib shacks, and barbershops. Those are the three businesses black folks in LA in the early 90s and the 80s were allowed to open up in the hood. All you niggas be talking about some racism in LA. Y'all ain't in LA. Oh, Dewan, you on the West Coast? You don't know racism. Fuck you, nigga. I know the most cunning and evil and subversive kind of racism that exists on the planet. And I remember being a young boy, listening to my cousin Michael talk about OJ. But at the same time, he couldn't get an eyeglass shop open. Eyeglasses. He was a fucking eye doctor. Spectacles. And the city of LA would not let this black man open up an eyeglass shop before the LA riots. That's the fucking LA I grew up in. So after we saw that miscarriage of justice with Latasha Harlins and with Rodney King, and you listen to Ice Cube's album Death Certificate, and you really feel the frustration. It's not just the police brutality. You're not putting nothing of value in our neighborhoods. Oh, thank you, Justin, for the Cash App. Y'all can hit the Cash App right here. Appreciate the Cash App. Hit the Cash App, $ Dewan Brown. So this is what we feeling in the city. And it's all ties into OJ. So the riots happened. Those riots brought attention. After the riots, they allowed black businesses to come into LA. We got a big five on Crenshaw and Coliseum. We started getting banks to come back in the hood after the riots. Because when my mom was down there talking to Maxine Waters, Councilman Nate Holden, Councilman Herb Wesson, Kenneth Hahn, before Yvonne Brathwaite Burke, then into Yvonne Brathwaite Burke, when she was talking to them motherfuckers, they wasn't listening. So the riots made them niggas listen. And my cousin Michael ended up opening up this shop right here. He designed this building on 83rd in Vermont. Y'all know 83rd in Vermont? If you know anything about LA, do not wear a Houston Astros cap over here. This is A-Trey Hoover hood, so watch out. But my cousin Michael, after the LA riots, he designed this building. And he broke ground on this building in right after the OJ trial started. No, I'm sorry, right around the time the OJ trial ended. He broke ground on this building. Unfortunately, he never got to see it open because he ended up dying of a heart attack at the age of 39. The same weekend Tupac got murdered in 1996. So he never saw it open. But, and that is part of the, what can I say? I don't want to use the word resentment, but that's part of my fueling rage, and the rage I use to fuel me when it comes to pushing forward and making things right. Because my uncle, My cousin Michael should have been able to open up that shop 10 years prior. But he couldn't because his wretched ass city didn't want a black man opening up a fucking eyeglass shop in his own goddamn neighborhood. It took a fucking riot for that to happen. So here we get to OJ. Black America is seeing all this. We seeing the bloody sock that got DNA evidence showing that it was tampered with. We seeing a glove that don't fit. We seeing a trial that we watching by day get misreported by night on the local news. That's what we seeing. We know OJ's a coon. We know that. We know he don't give a fuck about black people. Who cares? He's not our leader anyway. We just see him being publicly lynched. And those of us here in LA and around the country, we said enough. I don't care about who OJ is as a person. Like I always say, there are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages. OJ was put out there and his trial showed us what America really is. So you got to realize 90s LA, 90s America, Bill Clinton's in office. We're supposed to be in a post-racial society. Bill Clinton came on the Arsenio Hall show with sunglasses playing the saxophone. A lot of Negroes are saying he's our first black president. You dumb niggas. And gone as we get into early 90s, we're still dealing with hip hop. It still has a militant message to it at this time. You still have black movies coming out like Boomerang and Strictly Business, just good black movies coming out. We have good black TV shows on, Martin, Living Single, and Living Color. We really had our own world at that time, devoid of too much outside stuff. We still were in our neighborhoods. We weren't facing gentrification yet. We had our radio stations that played hip hop and R&B. Michael Jackson still putting out music. Arsenio Hall's on TV at night. We see how, and nothing we saw by the time we get to 93, 94. We seeing how they fucking with Arsenio. Arsenio decided to bring Louis Farrakhan on. And we saw how they was fucking with him. 95 for the Million Man March. We saw what y'all was doing to Arsenio. So we seeing all this shit happening. So when OJ came, we had to be like, you know what? No. Not this time. Not this time. You're not going to sour me on OJ's reputation for liking white women. That ain't got nothing to do with this. As a matter of fact, had OJ married a black woman, you white motherfuckers wouldn't give a shit anyway. So yeah, let's talk about that. They try to throw in the fact that OJ was a coon. Yep, he was a coon. But if you murdered a black woman, this wouldn't be the trial of the century either. Nigga. So this is the world that we're in. And this is what we're seeing. So it's not that OJ was the person that we looked up to or cared about. It was what the trial represented on a racial level. We couldn't deny what we're seeing. We could not deny what we were seeing. A couple years later, 1996, Bill Clinton signs the Telecommunications Act. Tupac gets murdered. Suge Knight gets thrown in jail. Puff Daddy gets the keys to the hip hop kingdom. And the music went from militancy to spend your money on bullshit. All the black major media outlets were bought up as the 90s went on. And by the time you get to the 2000s, you get to the Jay-Z era of fluffy bullshit ass hip hop, fuckboy hip hop, spend your money on hoes and clothes. I'm better than you because I got bigger rims than you, and my woman got a bigger ass than your woman. And that became the music. And times changed. And black people took our eye off the ball of race. But OJ would always bring us back to that. As you got through the late 90s and the 2000s and black America wasn't thinking too much about race, black America had a lull on the race talk from 96, from about the murder of Tupac to the murder of Trayvon Martin. Black people sullied and calmed down on talking about race. Black people who talked about race were labeled hoteps and disgruntled, angry militants. There were episodes of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Uncle Phil got to show that he was a good Negro, and the Angela Davis style old friend of his from the 60s was past her time. We was getting those kind of TV shows talking about, Negroes go to college, you made it. You wear a suit, you carry your briefcase, you good on Race in America. And niggas really tried to buy into that shit. But every time the story of OJ would come up, it would remind even the most cooniness of cooniness ass niggas that no matter how much you coon, when they decide to get in your ass, they gonna get in your ass. So OJ was a constant thread. Every time we as a people tried to get away from race, a new OJ trial would come up, a new OJ TV show would come up, and it would remind niggas where the fuck we stood on race. Because whether or not you believe OJ is innocent or guilty, your black ass know that had he had whatever situation with a black woman, America would have never given a fuck. You know that. And you also know America has a far more heinous track record as far as miscarriage of justice than OJ fucking Simpson. Come on now. Much longer track record of a miscarriage of justice than OJ. And more recent miscarriages of justice in the same fucking city. Latasha Harlins and Rodney King. We got to see these things happen back to back to back. 91 Latasha Harlins. 1990 Latasha Harlins. 91 Rodney King. 92 Rodney King trial. Break in 93, I think was one of the greatest years in hip and music history, 1993. It wasn't no major. We recovered from the riots. It's a little bit quiet. 1994, the LA earthquake happened. The Northridge earthquake that crumbled the 10 freeway, the 405 and the 5 and the 210. LA's fucked up. Then OJ. And then OJ happened in June 94. And that trial ended in September 95. I know it was September. Is it September or October 95? It was one of those two. Help me, chat room. I just remember when the OJ trial ended and it was time for the announcement. Oh, and what a wonderful day the announcement was. Let's talk about the announcement. Let's talk about the day of the announcement. No. I'm play this one. OJ was acquitted. On that wonderful day, OJ was acquitted. I was at Westchester High School, and an announcement came through the PA system. I was in math class. I was in algebra. Mr. Hyatt in the D building at Westchester High School. I was in Mr. Hyatt's class, and they said, we have a special announcement. The verdict from the OJ trial. And Lord, I tell you, this was the perfect situation. Because school was the only time I ever came across white people. Although my school was in an all-white neighborhood, it was a 96% black school, 94% black. It was like 94% black. No, I would say 92% black, 4% white, and 4% everyone else, Asians and Latinos. But in this class I had with Mr. Hyatt, about a third of the class was white. It was one of the few classes I had that many white people in class with me. Usually the white kids were in honors and AP courses, and the black kids were over there. They segregated the black kids from the white kids. My wife was always in class with the white kids because she was an honor student. I was a C student, nigga, 2.5. Fuck you. So I'm in regular class. So I usually didn't have classes with white kids, but they happened to be in Mr. Hyatt's class. And then it said, in the matters of the people versus O.J. Simpson, O.J. Simpson, the lady stutters, is found not guilty. And all the black kids was like, yeah! All the white kids and my white teacher was like, girl. If you didn't have a white person within 10 feet of you when that announcement was made, I feel bad for you. Oh my God, that shit was funny. Niggas was like, yeah, nigga. White folks were like, but here's the thing. White people, they know not to act too crazy around too many niggas. So then white folks still knew that they was in a class of niggas and they was outnumbered. That's what made it so special. Man, my teacher, I didn't ask none of my white teachers no questions all day. All my white teachers, because this announcement was made in the morning. So you still had the rest of the day at school to go. 4 more classes to go. And every white teacher is like, well, today in biology, I'm over here, my biology teacher's over here teaching photosynthesis, all sad and mad. My white Italian history teacher's like, I don't get it. He a little more ethnic. Mr. Foster was like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. You just, the evidence was this, and I don't know what happened. And I remember Mr. Foster had, at least called him Joey Buttafuoco because he had like a curly shag. He's like an Italian dude. Oh my God, my teachers was stuttering that whole week. All of the white kids in school was walking around like zombies. All the white kids was like, you would swear, them white kids were so goddamn sad, you would swear someone actually seasoned their chicken this time. Oh my God, my mom actually put seasoning on the chicken. Oh my God. Lord, that was a glorious day. That was a glorious day. And it's still a glorious day. It's still a glorious day. The day OJ did not go away. It's still what a glorious day. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Yes, 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 yes. We had a good time when OJ got let off. There is a God somewhere. So, here we go. We having church today. Rest in peace to OJ Simpson. Rest in peace, OJ. Rest in peace, OJ. Because OJ, Saint OJ, I made that. So if you see someone else, well, let me airdrop it to myself the original file. There we go. Let me airdrop this to myself. Come on, airdrop. Where you at? Where you at, airdrop? Come on, motherfucker. Where you at? Here we go. I made this, so if you see somebody copying it, just see the at Dewan B right there. Saint OJ. And the reason why he's Saint OJ is because he brought racism from the darkness to the light. That white coworker that you had, that white friend that you thought you had, started treating you a little bit different after this announcement was made. Your white coworkers and classmates, the ones you played basketball and soccer with, the ones you study with, all of a sudden, their parents didn't want you coming by the house anymore. Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Chat room, y'all was there in 1995. Y'all was there. 96. Y'all was there. Am I bullshitting? Did you not see a difference in how you were treated by your white friends and coworkers and classmates? You really started to see who was who. And more than what they would say, more so than what they would say, it will be how they will act. Just when the name OJ comes up, you see this anger. You see this bitterness. You see steam come out their ears. These motherfuckers turn pink. If you want this picture, it's on all my social media. I've been posting it. Just give credit where credit's due. So we saw this. We saw how bitter people were. And it's like, yo, all the L's we done took just in the last 3 years in Black LA, and y'all can't get over this? See, this is when I officially knew the OJ thing was a problem. Because white folks and black folks, for the most part, retreated to their corners after the OJ thing. I saw it was a major problem. I knew it was a problem when it happened, but I saw it was a sustained problem that wasn't going to go anywhere when I got to college. When I was on the debate squad at Cal State Northridge, I had an argumentation and discourse class by, I think it was Professor, I think his last name was Professor, was it Brownlee? I think it was Brownlee. He was the chair of the communication studies department at Cal State Northridge. Is it the Brown or Brownlee? I forgot his name. It doesn't matter. But in the argumentation and discourse class that I had with Professor Brownlee, whenever they would talk about great rhetoric, he would bring up OJ and Johnny Cochran. Whenever the subject was deceptive rhetoric, whenever the subject was verbal sleight of hand, I would notice Johnny Cochran would get mentioned disproportionately. And how he would talk about how great rhetoric can be used to tell great lies, and he would always use the OJ trial as an example. And we're talking about 2003, 4, around those years. Now we're coming up on 2005. So we're coming up on 10 years. It was, I think, 2004, because it was about 10 years since the murder at the time. And I remember thinking, like, yo, mind you, 2004, we had the Phil Spector thing is going on. We had just had the Robert Blake trial. And I'm saying, damn. I'm seeing it on both ends. Initially, I'm seeing in the 94, 95, 96, 97, I'm seeing we had Natasha Harnens and Rodney King and the riots. And then in 96, 97, we get an unveiling of Rampart, proving the corruption within the LAPD, by the way. They don't bring that shit up. Whenever y'all talk about how ridiculous it is that the LAPD painted evidence, yeah, nigga, 3 years later, they got found guilty by the FB motherfucking I and the Federal fucking Justice Department for doing shit like that. Nigga. Do they ever bring that part up to you when they talk about these OJ stories? Do they ever bring up that the police department that was accused by Johnny Cochran so eloquently of planting evidence and proven by the goddamn blood droplets and the glove that didn't fit? It was later proven 3 years later by the fucking Department of Justice, the federal fucking Department of Justice, that same LAPD was planting evidence on black people. This happened. And when they have all of these OJ TV shows, they never bring that part. That's because propaganda lies to you through omission. They omit facts, omit evidence. We got over 300 here on YouTube, another over 250 over on Twitter. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Go to DewanB.com right now. Go to DewanB.com right now and sign up for my email list. I want you guys to stay in the know for all that I have going on. I have some show updates coming, some new stuff coming my way with the show. So I'm filming the documentary. I'll be out in DC next week filming. Thank you for those who donated. Thank you for those that have donated to the GoFundMe so far. Because of your donations, we will be in DC next week filming Dr. Randy Short for his part in the documentary. So we need more donations to get this thing all the way through. I have more people I want to skip around this country and film. So donate the GoFundMe. Also, join my inner circle for updates, and then go to the shop. Go get your car. Go explore all my shit. I got my courses going. All this shit is going on. Explore around the world of me right now at DewanB.com. And if you want to advertise with me, hit me up. Email me info@DewanB.com if you have anything that you want to advertise. I'm back. I stopped doing ads for a while because I'm selfish. I've only been advertising my shit. Like, sorry. I got a whole lot cracking going on right now. Oh yeah, another thing we're going on right now. I need y'all to know that on Friday, I am with Marcus. You know Marcus, 5150. I'm with Marcus and Bellflower. I'm about to put the flyers up right now. I'm with Marcus and Bellflower on Friday. So I'm gonna need y'all to get y'all tickets for that. Get ready for that right there. And then Saturday, I am at the Hidden History Museum for the Hidden History Comedy Show, produced and hosted by yours truly. Produced and hosted by me. I book all the comics. I order the lineup. And we've been doing this now and shouts out and appreciation to Tariq for creating the show at it and hosting the show at his museum. But when it comes to putting that thing together, that's my specialty. Putting shows together. And if you've ever been to my shows, you know we got dope ass shows. I got my man Big Job. Big Job was one of my day ones in comedy. Y'all know him now with all that shit he be doing on the internet. All them videos. I met Jade and Larry on my first day doing comedy. Big Ja. Got Tori Hart. She's always hella cool every time I run across her and see her. Extremely funny, down to earth. And just y'all gonna love Tori. Like, people was talking shit about her, man. Y'all gonna love Tori. And then I got my man CP. I do CP's podcast sometimes. I love I do CP's podcast. And also gonna have my man Yorsi Thomas is coming down. Franchise account coming down. We about to have a good ass time on Saturday at the Hidden History Museum. Friday night I'm with Marcus doing his show. And then y'all been wanting me to do some music again? Well, good news for ya. I'm with J-Mo next Friday, April 19th. Fat Fridays in Long Beach. I'm with Jairus Mosey. He's a 4-time winning Grammy songwriter, guitarist. Won Grammys with Jasmine Sullivan, Anderson .Paak. Wrote a lot of great music for Anthony Hamilton. And to me, he's probably one of my favorite guitarists on the earth right now. Not probably, he is one of my favorite guitarists. I'm gonna say probably my favorite. He's definitely one of my favorites. He's in my top 3, put it like that, of guitarists walking this earth right now. Live music, live band in Long Beach. So I got a lot going on over here. Got the Hidden History Museum show popping, but don't get it twisted. My shit popping wherever I go. All right? Y'all got to come. No, I don't have. Y'all be like, are you streaming? No, I'm not streaming. Do you have clips? No, I don't have clips. You got to come out to get this sauce. You got to come out to the show to get this sauce. This sauce ain't going to be streaming. Every show I have people flying from around the country, so no excuses. Oh, what's up, Alonzo Frazier? Appreciate the cash app, Alonzo Frazier. Appreciate the cash app. Appreciate the cash app. Not cash app, super chat. Oh, and appreciate. Oh, Jasmine again. Appreciate. That's 2 cash apps. Appreciate that. So we talking about OJ and what was going on around the time of the OJ trial. Why I say he's innocent. All that. Because OJ exposed a lot. This is an 8 of Hearts year of exposure. Exposure's happening a lot. And OJ did a great job of highlighting what's America's like and what America's been like. And for as long as I live, I will not allow the propaganda to win. Got it? Yeah, that was hers that had OJ running through the airport. Yeah. Yeah. So somebody said if there's any justice, oh, how you know? It's always humans trying to talk about what justice is. OJ will be burning in hell. He must be white. Ha 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 ha. OJ died peacefully, not in prison, and he been smiling. Y'all put OJ in prison, and when he got out of prison, he been smiling. That motherfucker be on Twitter, playing golf. OJ been living his best fucking life since he got out of prison. On Twitter, playing golf, having a good time, tweeting about the Buffalo Bills and USC football. And he had cancer the whole time, and he knew he had cancer. And he kept a smile on his face. Y'all couldn't break OJ. Even though you put him in jail, he still had a smile on his face. And that's what y'all hate. Oh shit, I appreciate it. Oh shit. Irv, I appreciate the cash app, Irv. Y'all tried to put him through trial. He got off. You took his money. He kept smiling. You put him in jail for 9 years for stealing his own shit. He got out of jail, went right to Twitter, and was playing golf on y'all monkey asses every day, tweeting with a smile on his face. Y'all never broke him. See, I'm going to tell y'all something. You can call OJ a coon all you want, and I will not disagree. But I will say this. In spite of all that happened to OJ, he did not walk around pouting. And that's where I got respect for him. He never walked around pouting, saying, this is what they did to me, woe is me. He would address it every now and again, but he always had a smile on his face. And you could tell through Twitter when he got out that his spirit was never broken. Right, and he was still banging them white women. True to it. It would be pictures of OJ on a golf course. It'd be like 4 or 5 white girls around him. He'd be like, hey, 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 hey. And I remember seeing OJ. I was in Sports Chalet. For those of you who remember, there used to be a sports chalet. All my LA people gonna remember this on the West Side. It was on Sepulveda, and was that Olympic or it wasn't Pico? Remember there used to be a sports chalet, like a sports store on Olympic and Sepulveda, right off the 405. I remember seeing OJ there in this is like back in 94. This is like right before they arrested him. Right before the murder. It had to be like within a month of the whole thing happening. Before the whole thing happened. I remember seeing him in Sports Chalet. Again, because if you grew up in Black LA, you had to go to white neighborhoods to go to a sporting goods store because they didn't have decent sporting goods stores in LA. In South Central. They didn't have them. So we always had to go to white neighborhoods to get our shit. So I'm in the Sports Chalet, getting some gear for my basketball, and I see OJ. I see this big football head ass nigga walking through with a limp. This nigga had a limp. He had these big ass hands and a big ass head, and he was walking with a limp. And I was like, oh shit, that's OJ. I was like, that's Nordberg. Because as a kid, I still know him as Nordberg from Police Academy. I'm not Police Academy, Naked Gun. And Naked Gun 33 and the Third was coming out that year. I mean, oh shit, there go Nordberg. And then a month later, all this shit happened. I said that to say, the motherfucker had a limp, a for real pronounced limp. And I'm talking about pre-murder situation OJ. The motherfucker had a big ass head, big ass hands, and he walked like this. So let's talk about people How do we respond? Let's talk about solutions. How do we respond moving forward to people? Because a lot of y'all out there complaining, and rightfully so, and saying that, these white folks is trolling niggas. You say something about OJ, they all of your mentions trolling. They all mad, crying pink tears. How do you respond, black people? Let me help you. This is how you respond. You don't go back and forth with these people. You don't sit around and be like, and argue with them. No, don't argue with these people, black folks. No. Don't argue. Laugh. Don't match their energy. Use their energy for good times. Be an alchemist. Be an alchemist. Flip it. Flip it. Don't get angry with them. Get happy. When they're saying, OJ's a murderer, he did it, and who are you to step up and support a murderer? Be like, haha, you mad? Just laugh. Or take the picture that I posted. Take the picture that I posted and just post that as a comment under their comment. That's what I've been doing on Twitter. That's what I've been doing on Twitter. I've been just reposting a comment. I've been posting that picture and laughing. Oh, let me tell you how many good laughs I done had this morning. I've been laughing all morning. I've been having a good time laughing. Don't let these people get your blood pressure up. Don't let them get you mad. Hell nah. Don't let nobody control your emotions like that. And sign up for my Patreon, patreon.com/DeJuanB. We got some interviews coming up pretty soon. Hold on a second. I'm doing two things at once. I'm over here. I'm typing in the description. I just put while I was talking, I just put all of the links to the articles I was reading in the description. So they're in the description now. The links to the OJ articles I was reading earlier. Okay, but let me get back to focusing on what I'm talking about. Stop doing two things at once, DeJuan, like I always do. I'm a Gemini. I like doing like 5 things at once. I'm sorry. Well, OJ, don't let these people get you mad. Don't let them get you all in a tizzy. Laugh at these motherfuckers. Be like, ha, 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 OJ didn't do it, and he died free. Ha, ha, ha. Nah, 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 nah. Don't get mad. Don't let them get you mad. Don't get all riled up. Why? Black folks, stop getting this thing. We gotta stop getting so emotional when they say and do what they do. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. If they blood pressure is up, if they blood is boiling over OJ Simpson, if OJ is enough to get them mad, like, I hope he burned in hell. If they want to get that rod up, let them. And then be like, OJ still died with a white titty in his mouth. A Becky titty. OJ done had more Becky and Karen and Susan titties than you can imagine. Why you mad at OJ? This is what you do to them. You say, you bring them to the altar. You say, you don't like OJ? Where did OJ hurt you? Did he hurt you on the knee? Did he hurt your heart? Did OJ pierce your soul in any way? Where in your heart, in your soul, or on your body did OJ hurt you? And when they go from, he did it, he should have been there for murder. Well, the court of the law stated that he didn't do it. Can't you just accept it? No, I can't. No, I can't. I can't accept it. I'm not going to accept it. My name is Jethro. That nigga should have been dead. Well, do you feel the same way about all injustice? Yeah, injustice ain't right. Injustice ain't never right. If you kill somebody, you need to go to jail. So does that mean the officers that beat Rodney King should be in prison too? What? We talk about OJ. Well, what about the officers? What about George Zimmerman? Should George Zimmerman be in jail and be in prison? You have a lot of energy towards injustice in America. No, we're not talking about no George Floyd. We ain't talking about no Trayvon Martin. We talking about OJ. He needs to be in hell. So are you saying that justice only works for some and not the rest? Fuck you! And then you get the other kind. Then you get the liberal racists you got to deal with. Oh, I don't think it's right. That was wrong. OJ murdered those two people. He should be in jail. Oh, really, Karen? That's how you feel? You know, I feel that people who have strong suspicions of murder, like Robert Blake and Phil Spector, they should be re-examined. Oh, no, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about OJ. Yes, it's wrong. I know. Robert Blake, he was wrong. That Phil Spector, I don't know what the fuck happened. If people think that they did it, oh my gosh, my heart goes out to the victims. But OJ's the one that got away. White tears. And be like, okay, so Karen, what are we going to do to ensure this doesn't happen again? Are you willing to give a full forensic analysis of the Justice Department and go through cases where people may have been wrongfully convicted? Are you willing to get adequate defense from people who don't have the money to defend themselves? What are we going to do to change the corrupt system that lets murderers walk away and puts innocent people in prison? What are we going to do about it? Well, that's why we need to vote Democrat. We need to vote Democrat, and we need to make sure that it's not about racism. It's about the best person being the best person for the job. Just vote Democrat, and yeah. But let a dog get murdered. They ain't gonna say vote Democrat. They're gonna say, we need laws. We need to make sure animals need special protection. And if it's a little dog under 8 ounces, this is the penalty. If it's a big dog over 15 pounds, that's the penalty. Them motherfuckers go right into solutions when it's a dog. See, the thing is, they don't want a justice system, whether they liberal or Democrat or Republican, conservative, Democrat or Republican, liberal or conservative, red or blue. Neither side wants a justice system. Both sides wants to know that if a nigga steps out of line, he's gonna get put in jail. That's what they want to know. That's justice to your liberal and to your conservative. That's what they agree on. Look at this stupid ass question. He said, "If Rodney King was a white small hat, would anyone give a shit?" If Rodney King was a white small hat, he wouldn't have gotten beaten in the streets. As a matter of fact, if Rodney King was a white small hat, he'd probably be like those small hats in New York. You know, the ones that got those tunnels that they forgot about in the news all of a sudden that was abusing those kids. That's probably, if Rodney King, to answer your question, if Rodney King was one of those people, he would have gotten treated like this. To answer your question, sir or madam, a secret tunnel in a New York City synagogue leads to a brawl between police and worshipers. He would have been able to fight the police while covering these tunnels that young boys and young men said that when they were young boys, they were shoveled through and sexually abused. Rodney King would have had the power to fight the police. If he were, to answer your question, sir, madam, whoever you were that asked that question, this is what would have happened, okay? Oh, look, 12 hours ago. This is what happened. You'd have had to go to the backstage of some random ass news source. Oh, here it is, New York Times. Why is the New York Times reporting this 8 hours after some random ass YNet news reported it? I don't know. Because don't New York Times like being first in line to report things? Since you asked that question, motherfucker, let's talk about it. This is what's been going on since you asked that question. What if, so those of you who watching, I'm answering this man's question. That's what happened. He asked the question, Brandon Polanski, real close to Roman Polanski. Why are you in here talking about OJ? What do you feel about Roman Polanski? Y'all share last name. Do you think Roman Polanski should be extradited and brought back here to America to serve time for him raping those women back in the 70s, Mr. Polanski? How do you feel about Roman Polanski? Why are you talking about OJ? He's still alive. OJ dead now. Roman Polanski's still alive, and so are his rape victims. What you got to say about that? Right? If I were, question, Mr. Polanski, if I were talking about Roman Polanski, would you be in this chat room right now? Asking stupid ass questions? Would you? If the title was Roman Polanski needs to get captured and brought back to America to face trial, would you be in here? The answer is hell no. And you know, I can prove that because I've had plenty of topics. I just talked last week about Nickelodeon and all the shit that's going on and the sexual deviancy going on in America. You weren't here for that? Asking questions, were you? You waited till it was OJ. In chat room, that's how it works. He said Trump is a racist. Yes, Trump is a racist. So is Joe Biden. What the fuck that got to do with OJ not murdering those two people and dying a free man? Nothing. No, you're lying, Mr. Polanski. Because I've had these topics and you weren't in here for those topics. And I can guarantee goddamn to you when I go live tomorrow, you won't be in here. Check. And then when they come around, they lie like a motherfucker. Nah, I don't listen to words. I watch behaviors. And the fact that this is your first time in this chat room commenting lets me know that you have a bug up your ass about OJ, and you gotta see what this nigga's talking about. This nigga said, I believe OJ's son did it. Why the fuck would you believe OJ's son did it? Did OJ's son have defense wounds on him? Otto? I'm ashamed of you, Otto. I got love for you, dog, but I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed. OJ's son? Ron Goldman had war wounds. Ron Goldman put up a fight. What about OJ's son's skill set makes you think he can slice and dice two people and get away scot-free? DNA is not a good enough answer because, as you can see in the OJ trial, yes, their DNA was there, but upon further look of the DNA, the DNA had preservatives in it. The body doesn't produce, when blood comes out of your body, it doesn't come out of the body with preservatives. The preservatives are in the blood when it gets brought out the body by a needle and put into a vial. The vial is where the preservatives exist. But they did have the DNA. They always win on a half-truth. You got to investigate these statements. Every statement has to be investigated one by one. And that's what happened on the trial with the jury. The jury investigated every statement one by one. And the statements didn't check out. OJ didn't do it. OJ could not have done it. Not enough time on the clock for it to get done. No motive was set. No return war wounds were found, even though Ron Goldman was in an obvious battle in war. With somebody else's unnamed DNA underneath his fingertips and in his bloody knuckles that he used to fight back. Leads me to conclude that OJ didn't do shit. And going back to how I started this, with all that was going on in the LAPD, with the blood vials having preservatives in it, according to the FBI, with the phone records putting OJ at a time he was in the limo on the way to the airport. At the time, Nicole Brown Simpson was calling her mother. Her mother called her to let her know that she's home, and they had a conversation. Throw the whole timeline off. So the question is, how I started it. Why would they do all this? Is it just because of race? Yeah, partially. The other part is, you're under federal investigation from the Department of Justice stemming from the LA riots 2 years prior. And if it comes out, and if you admit to planting evidence and you fess up to planting evidence, it's going to further harm you when justice gets handed out, which ended up getting handed out 3 years later in 1997 with the Rampart scandal. The uncovering of rampant planting of evidence and targeting of black people, drugs and murders specifically being pinned on black people who didn't do it, that the federal Department of Justice concluded the LAPD was doing. Of course they're gonna cover that shit up. Do you go to your job and do you tell your boss when you fucked up? Do you? Mark Furman was a racist that planted evidence. That's a fact. He's a liar. That's why he pleaded the fifth. He got caught planting evidence. That's why Mark Furman had to plead the fifth. They got mad at Johnny Cocker making it about that. Oh, go to the episode of the Chewbacca episode of South Park. This is where your liberal white friends are, black people. Liberal whites like South Park. When they were clowning Johnny Cocker, was like he had the Chewbacca defense. The story is about murder, but he made it about Chewbacca. Well, no, it wasn't about Chewbacca. The story was the LAPD plants evidence and lies on black people. And that's a fact. A fact that was proven by the fucking Department of Justice. Nigga. So he didn't bring us some abstract thing. He brought up something that matters. OJ didn't do it. His son didn't do it. Nicole Brown Simpson and her boyfriend Ron Goldman were drug addicts that were always at that Mezzaluna, which was a restaurant, was a fucking drug den. 2 or 3 other people within the same time period got murdered that were connected with the Mezzaluna restaurant by slicing and dicing. They had a whole thing going on with the Mezzaluna and Ron Goldman and his thug friends. Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman hung out with thugs. I know how it is with me. Shit. People I know that be hanging out with niggas that be in gangs. When I was in the 90s and 2000s, you couldn't be around me back then and you be tied to gangs. Nigga, I am not about to get shot next to your ass. Call me. Hey, what's up? I would be walking down 43rd and Crenshaw. I be going to that McDonald's over on 43rd and Crenshaw. I see my folks call at Daddy Days. What up? Get in my car. I be in that drive-thru on 43rd and Crenshaw at McDonald's. All my homeboy Richard and the niggas will be across here at Daddy Days. All the niggas. What up? I ain't about to be out here and be out here at the wrong fucking time and one of you niggas misgivings come and karma gotta come get me. Fuck that. I never went to the Marathon store. I love Nipsey, but I never went to the Marathon. I never went to the Teach. I never went to the store. There was too many niggas there. That was on some shit, and the police was always raiding that motherfucker. I used to drive past the Marathon store 2 or 3 times a day, and at least twice a year, the police was all up in that motherfucker raiding it. It was too much shit. Don't hang around certain elements if you don't want to attract what those elements bring. And Ron Goldman and Nicole Simpson hung around thugs. The Mezzaluna restaurant was a known drug den. It was a known thug den. Thug den. THUGDEN. These is facts. So before I go to OJ or anybody tied to OJ, I'm gonna go to the 2 people that got murdered and their thug connections. It's more plausible. It's more likely. You hang around thugs in the thug den, and you end the same way other people ended within the same period of time. They didn't have any character witnesses. Faye Resnick, Nicole Brown Simpson's best friend, was in a drug rehab during the trial. Why are your friends in drug rehab? I'm not disrespecting the dead. Much respect to Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. I can't stand this punk ass dad. Every time I see his dad and his mom on camera, Ron Goldman's dad was always on camera crying like a bitch. I don't respect him. I'm going to get OJ, and he took my son. And Ron Goldman is just the face, the dad, just the face of this whiteness. I'm white and I said so. So that, oh God, he's just, white people jack off when they see Ron Goldman talking about OJ. Like, fuck him. The dad. Rest in peace to the son and Nicole Simpson. You know, OJ's children now don't have both of their parents are now gone. You know? You know, Khloe Kardashian's dad is gone. I'm just playing. But truth of the fact is, Nicole and Ron Goldman associated with thugs. They rubbed elbows with killers and drug dealers and mafia members. They frequented mafia hangouts. And most of their friends were on drugs and associated with these same thugs. The company you keep. Everything I say can be verified. It's all true. But this show is for entertainment purposes only. Everything I say you can look up. From Nicole Simpson's thug associations to Faye Resnick being in drug rehab to Ron Goldman's in the Mezzaluna restaurant and all the drug dealers and thugs that was associated with the Mezzaluna restaurant in 1994 around at the time of the murder. So let's just remember this as we get out of here. Stand on the truth. Stand in your truth. Be staunch in your opinions and points of views. If others feel something different, they don't need to argue with them. If they're mad and they're just angry that OJ and don't argue with these people, laugh at them, don't give them that energy. The best thing you can do if you want to piss off a white person this week, it's two things you can do. You could either troll and laugh and get some good laughs on it, or ignore them. If you want to see these motherfuckers shrink up like the Wicked Witch of the West, just don't say nothing. Just let them not ignoring these people. Ignoring white people is the equivalent of telling them to walk into the sun with no sunblock. It's only gonna be so long before they can't stand it and they gotta do something. And this is no disrespect to all. This ain't about all white people. This ain't about all coons, you coon niggas and you non-white folks. This ain't about that, but this is about race. OJ is a story of race and race in America. So here on this channel, I have nothing but love for white folks, Mexicans, Asians, everybody else. I love anybody who loves me. Anybody who loves themselves, I love them. But you ain't gonna scare me into not talking about race. That's what we're not gonna do. You're not gonna bully me into saying let's talk about something other than race. No, nigga, we gonna talk about race, especially if OJ is the topic. OJ is all about race, and you know it. So have a good time and laugh. It's okay to be petty and troll, Achilles Smith. It's okay to be petty. I'm saying, be petty and troll. Ignore them or troll them, but don't let them get you mad. The one thing you don't do is get emotionally involved. And don't get mad and don't try to reason. These people are beyond reason. They believe the hype. Nothing you're going to say or do to change it. All these facts I gave you will not matter in a debate with these people. They are emotionally charged, like a LeBron James fan when that motherfucker loses another game and sits out of an important game or misses critical free throws. It ain't shit you can say to these niggas. It's like telling the Jordan fan that he wasn't the greatest. These niggas will go berserk and not listen to a goddamn thing you gotta say after that. So don't argue with these people, okay? Don't argue. Don't argue. Chill. Chill and chill, okay? But that's right, C Diggs. Have fun either way. All right? That's our solutions today. Because we like talking shit, but we also bring solutions. And do not be afraid to lean into and embrace the race conversation. Yes, OJ is about race. Don't be that scared Negro saying it's not about race. You look timid and weak, and nobody respects that. Especially the white people you talking to. See, I can talk this way. I get a lot of respect amongst white folks and non-black people. I get a lot of respect from others. Because others know that I'm going to give them straight no chaser. Others know that although they may not agree with me, they're going to get what's real. Nobody respects a culturally weak man or woman. Nobody. You can be used as a useful fool, as a tool, but you won't get no respect. All right? Thank y'all for listening. Go to thewanb.com. This Friday, I'm with Marcus, 5150 in this bitch. I'm with Marcus this coming Friday at the Stand-Up Comedy Club in LA. To hear more is on that show, my dog Tahir. In Bellflower, we're at the Stand-Up Comedy Club this Friday. Next Friday, I'm with my man J-Mo, a night of live music and soul. I want y'all to be there. Live music. I'm be emceeing that night. We're going to have a bunch of different bands coming up and doing some live music to free your ass. Free your mind and your ass will follow. And then this coming Saturday, another DeJuan Brown King of Clubs production. The Hidden History Museum Spring Fever Comedy Show. My man, my day one, Big Ja, is going to be there. Tori Hart, I called her up. I was with Tori last week. We had a shindig at Daphne Springs crib. We had a vision board party. I saw Tori there. CP, he going to be on that motherfucker. I got Yorsi Thomas coming down. I also got my man, Franchise Account, that's going to be rocking the mic. And you never know who else is going to drop through. All right? Every lineup I put together so far has been great. And tomorrow ain't going to be, Saturday ain't going to be no goddamn different, all right? We will be at the Hidden History, at Tariq Nasheed's Hidden History Museum. Power and respect to y'all, too. Much appreciated. You'll be there, Hurt? Well, shit, I'll see you Saturday, brother. All right? Thank y'all again for listening. And remember, there are no perfect messengers. Only perfect messages for those willing to pick up the game. I'm out.